Research finds that New Zealand beat COVID-19 by trusting leaders and following advice. Citizens had a high level of knowledge about coronavirus and how it spread, and compliance with basic hygiene practices and trust in authorities was at nearly 100%.
Here's a summary of the article.
The secrets to New Zealand's success at eliminating coronavirus has been revealed by university researchers, who have found compliance with basic hygiene practices and trust in authorities was at nearly 100%. Researchers at Massey University interviewed more than 1,000 people post-lockdown, to investigate how New Zealanders responded to the pandemic. A total of 22 people died in New Zealand of the disease and less than 1,500 were infected, after stringent border controls were introduced and a nationwide lockdown came into force on 25 March, one of the earliest in the world. About 9 in 10 New Zealanders know about the symptoms, protective behaviours, and about the asymptomatic transmission. A large majority of New Zealanders correctly identified false or misleading statements. In mid-May New Zealand began to loosen lockdown restrictions and 2 months later the country has largely returned to normal, apart from the borders remaining closed. Despite the country's success at eliminating the virus, researchers found the pandemic had taken a significant toll on New Zealanders' lives, with nearly 1 in 5 reporting they or a family member had lost a job, had filed for unemployment benefits, or been unable to pay monthly bills. New Zealand's indigenous population was disproportionately affected by the crisis, with Maori twice as likely to report they or a household member had lost a job, as unable to pay monthly bills, or had signed on for unemployment benefits, compared with New Zealand Europeans. Epidemiologists working on managing the spread of the disease in New Zealand singled her out for praise.
This post received a score of 100,000, with an upvote ratio of 87%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Yup, and now we're all out and about living our lives as normal, with some slight change in working habits for the better. I mean, we've got a shitload of debt to get rid of now, but at least we're in a good position to address it. Turns out scientists actually are smarter than Facebook conspiracy theorists after all.
You mean Kyla, who dropped out junior year of HS and cheated in biology class, doesn't actually know the truth about coronavirus?
Impossible. The guy is very patriotic and loves this country and the flag very much.
That sounds like the guy that sells Trump-related flags on the side of the highway at like a rest stop. Ah, so you've met him?
Knowledge is power and can give you control. The thread of anti-intellectualism in some cultures is woven so tightly it has strangled their populace.
The most disturbing thing about the USA is that if 100% had trusted our national leadership, we would have probably been even worse off.
The number one killer of Americans this year would have been intravenous bleach.
To be fair, we would have had far less people die of COVID.
People would start injecting COVID to neutralize their bleach poisoning.
Perfectly balanced.
As all things should be.
Thanos was right.
Easy to trust your leaders when they provide competent, well-articulated, and science-based leadership.
It helps when people actually vote for them too.
It helps when people actually vote. Australia has compulsory voting and we still ended up with a leadership that gave confusing and conflicting advice. It's not enough to vote, you have to put some thought behind it too.
Australia has the greatest voting system in the entire world, but people don't utilize properly and just end up voting for one of the main two because they think they live in America.
Unfortunately, there are a lot of bogans in Australia that love to vote for less taxes that they'll never even see.
I have a coworker who voted for the Family First Party simply because she had a family. That's it. She knew the name, not any policies or views. How can people be so stupid or uninterested?
1 p.m. broadcasts every day where she and Dr. Bloomfield would answer questions and give updates on the situation, how many cases were found today and where, what our running total was, updates on how businesses would be affected, etc. She deferred to Bloomfield for the medical questions because she knows he's the expert on those. She handled the press gracefully and took their questions. When I look at Boris, Donald, and ScoMo, I feel very, very grateful to live here with Jacinda as PM. She really is a great example of what a compassionate, intelligent leader looks like.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.